Let's go. Welcome back into the Skooshi Sports Podcast and your Skooshi Sports Report, your global sports roundup, where I bring you the latest sporting news from around the globe, around the world. In the last week or so, plenty of action still happening, even though we're in the middle of silly season at the moment. If you're not sure what I'm referring to with silly season, for me, that's footy season's done in sort of middle of the year. All your sort of seasons across all sports are starting to sort of finish up, apart from obviously your cricket, that sort of thing. But all your golf season's pretty much sort of done. Rugby's pretty much done for the year. Obviously, we've got no footy. Tennis is pretty much done. A lot of sort of stuff is coming to a close, but there are some sports that are coming to a start, which is pretty bloody exciting. That's exactly what I'm here for, to give you all the review and also potentially a little preview of what is to come as well. So, I had my NRL 2026 very early, way too early ladder prediction come out yesterday, which is... I did a little reel. I brought out a little spoiler for you. I have the Dragons coming in my wooden spoon, and I did a reel about the Dragons coming in wooden spoon. Put it on my socials today, all at Skooshi Sports, and holy dooly, some people are not loving it. Hey, they're not loving their Dragons being in the next season, but that's where I see them, and a lot of people can't handle it. So they're interesting to see, but if you haven't checked that out, make sure you go give that a listen. It's a very good listen, in my opinion. Give me, I said, my very early 2026 NRL ladder prediction, all the way from 1 all the way through to 17 there. Tomorrow, I'll have my week 14 of the NFL Red Zone report. We have 5 more weeks of the NFL regular season before we get into playoffs, which is just bonkers how fast it's gone. To believe I've done 13 weeks of it is just crazy, but let's get into this episode. We have got plenty of action still to go. We've got my Women's Player of the Week. Going to do a bit of Rugby Sevens, just a tiny bit of recap on that. A bit of cricket, as always. Get a little bit into the darts, especially with the World Darts Championship coming up soon. Touch on a bit of golf. We're in the middle of the Aussie summer of golf at the moment. And then, of course, we'll finish off with our American sports. We're going to go NFL, NBA, and NHL as well for you guys, doing all 3 American sports which are active at the moment. Before we get fully stuck into it, remember to give this massive episode podcast a massive like and a subscribe as well if you enjoy the content. Make sure to follow all my socials at Skooshi Sports as well. Posting daily reels, whether it's recaps, just random, it could be score lines, could be breaking news, that sort of thing. It's all there on my socials for you to follow. Alrighty, let's get into it. And as usual, we're going to start with my Women's Player of the Week. One of the best segments of the week going on. One of the best segments of the podcast. One that I really enjoy, just to get the shining light on women's sports. Just something I just would really obviously love to see in the future, and like a goal of mine to sort of build in the future, to get these women athletes more exposure into a lot of these sports that like the men seem to get more exposure with, whether it's WNBA, whether it's NRLW. This week is AFLW, which is interesting. Women's golf, women's tennis, plenty happening around the globe when it comes to women's sport, and I am absolutely here for all of it. So, my Women's Player of the Week, as I said, we're going to the AFLW because we had the AFLW Grand Final over the weekend, and that is going to go to Eilish Sheeran from the North Melbourne Kangaroos. I think they're based in Tasmania as well. They played the AFLW Grand Final on the weekend. They beat the Brisbane Lions 56-16 on the weekend. They go back-to-back, the first, I think, in the women's era, which is super bloody exciting. She was awarded Best On Ground, also known as a Bog, Man of the Match. You absolutely love to see it. In AFL, 28 disposals, 18 of those were contested as well, just absolutely all around the ground. Kicked a couple goals as well, including the opening goal of the game to really set the tone for this match here. 8 tackles as well, and 9 clearances of the ball as well, just absolutely all around the park. She absolutely dominated the Brizzy Lions. She, part of that 28 disposals, she had 10 of those in the first quarter. She absolutely dominated the Lions in the first half, pretty much setting up the Kangaroos for victory in the second half to go back-to-back, as I said. And what is most impressive for me is out of 4 voters, she was a unanimous vote for best on ground for the Bog. Best on ground for the AFLW Grand Final. So massive congratulations to Eilish Sheeran, my Women's Player of the Week, and I said the best on ground for the AFLW Grand Final from the Kangaroos. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this episode. So we had our rugby internationals pretty much finished last week. There was just the one rugby international on the weekend in the rugby 15s. That was, and that was South Africa beating Wales. I think it was 77-0 or something. Just outrageous. Just took them to behind the woodshed, and yeah, that was that pretty much. But we did have the rugby 7s over the weekend in Dubai, which is pretty cool to watch. If you're not familiar with rugby 7s, same sort of style as your rugby 15s. It's just 7 aside and 7 minutes per half as well. So there's plenty of open space, plenty of points being scored, and the fitness of the men's and women's when it comes to this is just extreme. I get it, it's only 7-minute, 14-minute games, but they are running end-to-end like all the bloody time because it's just so easy. Well, it's not so easy, but there's just so much open play. There's offloads, they're passing it left to right, they're trying to create open space, and it's so cool to watch. It's so fun to watch. The games are so quick. And yeah, I said they had the men's and women's Dubai 7s over the weekend, so they combined them both together. So great news for me, I guess, and that is New Zealand 7s finally had some success in rugby this year, which is great to see. They have kicked off the season winning the Dubai 7 in both the men's and the women's as well. Put the cherry on top, they beat Australia in both of those finals as well. So the men's won 26-22 in their final across Australia, beating Fiji in the semi as well. And then the ladies got the job done, 29-14 in the final. Nice and convincing, that one there. Absolutely love to see it from both the men's and the women's getting the job done for New Zealand there, and hopefully they can continue it going into next seven, which I believe is in Cape Town. I'm not sure exactly when it is, maybe this weekend or next weekend, but super awesome for New Zealand rugby 7s there, getting the wins in both the men's and the women's there. All right, let's cross to a bit of cricket because we're obviously in the middle of the summer of cricket at the moment. We have got the second Ashes Test starting on Friday, this Friday at the Gabba. It's a day-nighter as well, which the Gabba's had some day-nighters. Usually we're seeing it at Adelaide quite a lot, but it is at the Gabba this year, so pink ball test. We haven't seen the official final 11s at the moment, but we do know from the Australian side of things that Usman Khawaja will not be playing in this second test for Australia here. Suffered a few back spasm sort of injuries in the first test. Wasn't really able to bat. Didn't really bat too much in the first innings. Didn't open, and then he didn't open either in the second inning and wasn't needed in the second innings to bat. So he's obviously been a little bit under fire, I guess, with his form in the last sort of couple years as well. And for me with Usman, he's getting to that age as well. What is he, 38, 39, that sort of thing? Is this the last? Has Usman Khawaja played his last ever test for Australia? When you got the guys like Josh Inglis and Bo Webster there ready to go, is this the end of Usman Khawaja's test career? I think potentially, yeah, very high chance. He's got to show... He's just coming to that age, I guess. He's got to be showing some good form, but how is he going to show good form when he's not really playing that much cricket at the moment? It would maybe have to be like another injury for him to get back in, and then he'd have to have a big score to sort of retain that spot as well. But it is looking like, from what I've just recently seen, that Josh Inglis is most likely going to be the replacement for Usman Khawaja, coming in at that sort of that number 5 role there. I did think it would probably be Bo Webster, have another all-rounder in the team, but is looking like it's going to be Josh Inglis. So congratulations to him. We know he's a WA boy, plays a bit of, for the Perth Scorchers and BBL, really good form in Sheffield Shield as well. So if it is Josh Inglis, obviously massive congratulations to him, but that's 2-3 days away. Absolutely cannot wait. I think local time, that's like I want to say like a 2 o'clock first ball. going to be an absolute rip snorter, as we say here in Australia. I'm not sure what the England movements are like in regards to their change. I don't think they've got any injuries. Going to be interesting to see if they want to select Zach Crawley again, coming off a pair and batting in the first test. But yeah, going to be interesting to see. I probably wouldn't be changing the bowlers maybe too much, but going to be interesting to see. England pretty much in a almost must-win spot. But we know how good Australia is at the Gabba. I can, most likely see it go from 1-0 to 2-0 rather than a draw or a 1-1. All right, just quickly regarding BBL. Just mentioned it before. I will be touching on the BBL throughout the season for sure. It's something I generally watch daily when it's on. I try and watch pretty much every game. Love my BBL. Do a bit of Big Bash Super Coach as well here and there. So that starts in the 14th of December. So that would be sort of next Saturday, I believe, next Saturday week. So looking forward to that. I believe Perth and Sydney Sixers is the first match on that schedule. But for me, Brisbane Heat fan, I probably will be trying to attend a couple Brisbane Heat games this season coming. I do love my Big Bash, so very keen for this season to come. And then speaking of more cricket, Test cricket, over the Dutch, we had New Zealand and West Indies start their 3-test series today. New Zealand won the toss and West Indies won the toss, elected to bowl, sent New Zealand out, and they are 9 for 231 at stumps there in Christchurch. Was a little bit of a rain delay today, hence a little bit of a less sort of overs and a little bit less runs scored. But if they're looking at how the Ashes went, they survived the whole day, baby. They survived the whole bloody day. All right, crossing over to darts. Nothing sort of much result happened really over the darts in the sort of the last week or so. It's just more to say the World Champs, they are starting on the 11th of December, so just over a week away. I think it starts on a Thursday night, I want to say. Night one. That goes for... Gosh, it goes for about 3 weeks, which is so epic, especially here. Like the night sessions are on from generally sort of 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. kind of thing. It's just so good to watch, just put on in the morning and just have a few matches on. Such a good atmosphere at the Ali Pali there. Luke Littler, obviously the massive favourite there to win that one and defend his World Darts Championships titles. I remember 2 weeks ago, he was $2.10. Last week, he was $2. Now he's $1.90. So the market is absolutely coming in for Luke Littler at the moment. Very much expecting him to defend and obviously keep his world number one spot going. Probably most likely going to be playing Luke Humphries in the final, which is going to be epic. Luke and Luke clearly being the top two players of darts in the last sort of couple of years. So going to be such a good battle when it does get to that stage, but the final's not into the new year. I think it's the 3rd of January, I want to say. So, but if you haven't watched darts, make sure you try and watch this World Darts Championship. It'll be on KO, that sort of thing, starting at the end of next week. Make sure you give it a watch. It is some of the best sort of sport that you will see. So entertaining. All right, let's cross into a bit of whack fuck, more commonly known as a bit of golf. So I actually didn't mention this last week in my Global Sports Roundup, but we had the Australian PGA just gone on the weekend. So that's actually local to me at Royal Queensland Golf Club. I've played there a couple times. Been to the Australian PGA many times as well. Really good sort of venue. I really like Royal Queensland as a venue, especially that party hole. Party hole is getting bigger and bigger every single year as well, which is... I actually am a big advocate for a party hole like that, because when you actually go and sit on the party hole, it's not just all golfers, that sort of thing. You've actually got a mix of men and women, young, a little bit old as well, and it's just a really good vibe for someone who may not be sort of interested in golf to sort of bring them along. They still have a really good, nice, chill day, good atmosphere. You meet up with some friends, that sort of thing. Might be you're undercover at the party hole as well. And you get to watch some golf shots, and you don't have to worry about, being quiet and doing your little golf claps, that sort of thing. like most people would probably think who are non-golfers that going to a day at the golf would be quite boring. But this I think it opens up a lot of doors for a lot of new golfers to get into it, which I obviously am a big ambassador for. So something like the party hole, we have got noise and music happening constantly 24/7. I'm all a part of it. The players are getting more used to it every single year. Just keep it going, get it bigger. I just think it's getting bigger and better for golf, especially in Australia. But going away from party holes, that sort of thing, David Puig from Spain, holy dooly. One of the more impressive performances I've seen at the Aussie PGA, especially at RQ. He won by 2 shots at 18 under par. And he absolutely blew them. Like, what a performance this was. I remember Jed Morgan, who I've actually know Jed Morgan a little bit. I think he had like 20 under. I think he got to, 3 or 4 years ago, which is so impressive. But David Puig on a par 71, he opened up the tournament with a 68, bogey-free. Then he went 67, and then he went 65, bogey-free. And then he went 66, final round, bogey-free. 11 under across the weekend, bogey-free. He had 2 bogeys all bloody week, which were back-to-back. So his first 30 holes of the tournament, he started bogey-free, and so that he bogeyed 13 and 14 on round 2. And that was it for the tournament. The last 40 holes of the tournament, he went without a bogey. So bloody impressive. That is just such impressive golf. No matter what course you're playing, whether it's the easiest course in the world, hardest course in the world, to not make a single mistake like that is just so bloody impressive. So massive shout out to David Puig, winning the Australian PGA to start off the DP World Tour season. They started here down in Brisbane, which is pretty cool. Some notables that happened from the week. Marky Leishman, Aussie local, 15 under. Nick Vogt, one of the bros from New Zealand, he had 15 under as well, a few shots back. Then he had Aussies like Minwoo Lee and Adam Scott. They finished on 14 and 13 under respectively. But one of the more surprising ones is Cam Smith, obviously a Brisbane local at one teamer there, not too far from RQ. A cheeky MC miscut at 2 over, way off the pace last week for Cam, which is very unexpected. A guy that's won the Australian PGA, I think, twice now. He went back-to-back. And, yeah, very surprising, honestly, that he missed a cut there at 2 over. So we'll see how he goes this week. So this week we've got the Australian Open, which is starting to become one of the more marquee events on a lot of players' calendars, which is really, really cool to see, right? This week it's at Royal Melbourne, which is one of our premier courses here in Australia, down in Victoria there. And it's usually a little bit in Sydney. They sort of mix and match between Melbourne and Sydney, but you're starting to get more and more marquee players to this event every year, which is so cool. We generally have one massive marquee player, where it's like a Jordan Spieth, whether it's Rory McIlroy. We've had Tiger Woods down in Melbourne before as well. This year we've got Rory, the Grand Slam champion, coming down to Australia. He has landed in Australia, played his practice rounds, which is so cool just for golf in general. For Australian golf, for the same year they won the Grand Slam, that we get to see him live in person playing our track. So super cool to have Rory down here this week. So he's playing with Adam Scott and he's playing with Minwoo Lee the first 2 rounds. Absolute marquee pairing. Going to be so cool to watch. Royal Melbourne, as I said, is a pristine course. The greens are running like glass. Absolutely fizzing, which is so good to see. That's just where a bit of wind picks up, these players start to struggle. And me as a golfer, like a previous golfer, I love to see pro golfers struggle, because it just brings back a bit of normality and just means like they are human. They do hit bad shots and they can struggle at times. But the other sort of second marquee group that they have is Elvis Smiley, who is a Gold Coast local, Cam Smith, and then Danny Willett, who is coming from England, a Masters champion back in 2016 as well. But very loaded field this week down at the Aussie Open, which is very exciting for Aussie golf. As I said, the marquee event for Australian golfers on the calendar this week, and just continues to get bigger and bigger every year, which is cool to see. $2 million Australian prize pool as well. So Generally in golf tournaments, 18% of that goes to the winner. So that would be about 360 grand around there, which pretty good amount, right? Like, we're not talking like millions like a PGA Tour, that sort of thing, but still pretty bloody handy if you're asking me. All right, let's talk a bit of American sport, because I'm going to start with the NFL, because there is plenty happening in NFL at the moment. We've just finished week 13. Before this, I started filming. I did a week 13 recap, a little reel, posted it on my socials. So if you're wanting a quick little 2-minute recap, it's on there: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, that sort of thing. But where do we start? I'm going to start with the AFC. So the main thing, I would say the AFC South is a really tight division at the moment. Probably the tightest so far in the AFC. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have just gone to the top now, 8-4. Indy Colts are now 8-4 as well. Now you've got the Houston Texans, who are absolutely on fire. They've won 4 in a row. I think they've won the last 6 out of 7. They're on fire at the moment. Their defense is one of the best in the league at the moment. They are now 7-5, hot in their tails. Now they've got a cheeky trip to Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs this week, which is probably going to decide the season for both teams, in my opinion. Like, the Texans now have a better record than the Chiefs, which is just, it's just crazy when you think about where the Chiefs have been this year. They are sitting at 6-6. Now they host the Texans in primetime on Sunday Night Football this week. Do or die clash, essentially a playoff game for the Chiefs. They have to win in my opinion. 11-6 should get into the playoffs. I don't think you can risk 10-7, especially when you've got the Chargers and they've got the Bills above them, who they've both lost to, including Jacksonville as well. The only hope maybe to get some help would be Jacksonville to win the AFC South. And then they'd have to beat the Texans. They've also beat the Colts, so they have that tiebreaker against them. But the Jags and the Colts actually play each other this week, which is like, just like, I think the winner of this game like wins the division almost. So it's crazy we're sort of getting these sort of games like 5 weeks out from, like, you know, there's still 5 games left, right? 5 weeks to go. And we're getting these games already, which is just so epic. Love these sort of storylines. AFC North is super bloody tight as well. You've got the Ravens and the Steelers both at 6-6, who play each other this week as well, and still have to play each other another game to end the season. So still have to play each other twice. That's going to really decide the division and the tiebreak as well. You have got Cincinnati there as a little bit of a chance there with Joe Burrow back, beating the Ravens in Thanksgiving. They've still got another game against the Ravens still to come. They obviously have a 1-1 tiebreak at the moment against the Steelers, but if they were to win in, they finish 9-8. They would be beating the Ravens 2-0 for the season. They have to win in to have some sort of chance now, but they've got a huge game against Buffalo this weekend. That is a huge game for them, right? Massive. And speaking of Buffalo, they are right on the border of the wild card as well at the moment, right? Because they're not going to win the division. It's easily New England's going to win that division. They're sitting at 11-2, the best record in the league at the moment. They're currently holding the 7th spot, the last wild card spot in the conference. Because you've got the Chargers, the Colts, and the Bills all at 8-4. And a team like, you still got the Texans, they're 7-5. It's so tight this year, it's crazy. And like, the Chiefs could honestly be missing the playoffs. It's just crazy to think about. Looks like the Broncos are probably going to snap up the AFC West. And there honestly could be a chance we're going through these playoffs without the Kansas City Chiefs, which for the last 7 years is wild to think about. But it honestly could be happening this year. The offense is average. The defense is average. They're just not quite clicking this year. They're losing the tight games that they would generally win in the last sort of few years. And it's just looking epic, in my opinion. Honestly, I cannot wait for these last 5 weeks. Let's go to the NFC, because we have a new number 1 seed in the NFC. And it's been the Rams and the Eagles for the last sort of few weeks, right? Now the Eagles have lost 2 on the bounce, losing to Dallas in week 12 and then losing to the Bears at home in week 13. Now they've slipped to 8-4. Now you've got the Chicago Bears at 9-3. An unbelievable storyline, if you're asking me. What are they? Have they won 5 in a row now? I think. Let me just quickly check. 5 in a row now. I think that last loss before that was just one loss against the Ravens, which I think Tyler Huntley played that game as well, from memory. They are now sitting top of the NFC at 9-3. It's just crazy to think about. The Rams are still 9-3, don't get me wrong, but the Bears are just sitting a little bit better there. Just wow, like it's so crazy to think about. And like the Bears as number 1 seed and top of the NFC North, but it's one of those things. If they lost this weekend, right, they've actually playing Green Bay, and Green Bay is at 8-3-1. Green Bay win that one, they go above Chicago. Let's say the Eagles win, they go to 9-4. Then you've got the Rams win. Let's just say they go to 10-3. Then you got Seattle winning. Let's just say they go to 10-3. San Fran is on the bye this week. There's honestly a chance if the Bears were to lose this weekend, they drop down. They could literally drop down to 7th, the 7th spot in the wild card. The NFC is loaded this year. Loaded. Special shout out to NFC South, my division, where it's probably the most not the most loaded at all. You've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers leading that division at 7-5, but you've got my boys, the Carolina Panthers, at 7-6, hot on their tails, and we still have 2 games to play against the Buccaneers, which will 100% essentially decide our season. Panthers-wise, we have a very deserved bye this week, and then we come back and we play, I believe we play the Buccaneers, and then we go and play Seattle, and then we play the Saints again, and then we play the Buccaneers to finish off. So 3 hardish games. We should beat the Saints, hopefully. A bit of a revenge game there as well in New Orleans. But if we beat the Bucs twice, we're going to be in, baby. We're going to be in the playoffs and winning the division, which at the start of the year, I did not think it was going to happen. I was optimistic as a fan, but I did not see it coming. And what did we start the season? 0-2, I think, maybe 0-3. I remember we lost against Jacksonville week 1. We lost against Arizona week 2. We weren't looking good whatsoever. Then we had this big win against Atlanta, and then we shit the bed the next week. We got spanked against the Patriots, and then we'd have another big win, after that. I think it was against Miami, and then we'd shit the bed the week after, and then we'd go and beat Green Bay in Green Bay, and then we'd shit the bed the week after against the Bills, get smashed by them. And then we'd have another win the week after and look good again, once again. Then we'd shit the bed the week after. We are very inconsistent at the moment, which is a bit frustrating. If we can get some consistency going, then you just never know. Maybe we can dream of playing in the playoffs, which I did not think of at the start of the year. But there are going to be some good teams, I think, missing the NFC wildcard. Like the Dallas Cowboys, they're looking hot at the moment, man. They have won their last 2 games in a 5-day span against the Super Bowl opponents from last year, Eagles and the Chiefs, beating them in back-to-back games within a 5-day span. Now they play Detroit on Thursday Night Football this week. Win that one, they go 7-5-1. They'll go above Detroit. They'll sneak into 8th spot in the wild card. And, if Philly was to lose against the Chargers, they're literally 1 win behind the Eagles, which is from a few weeks ago. They were absolutely nowhere. Now they've got Quinnen Williams in the trade deadline. The defense is looking a lot more improved than what it was. And they've got one of the best offenses in the league. And I said, it's just crazy how quickly this league sort of changes. And I have no idea who's going to be winning the Super Bowl at this point. I could not pick you even who's going to be winning the AFC, who's going to even be winning the NFC. I still think my pick may be Green Bay for the NFC. I think they're going to have to win the division, though, to try and get a home game. Because they should have a better record than Tampa. So they should have a home first playoff game. I don't know. They could finish number 1 seed for all I know. Like, it's crazy how it's all working out. It's been a bonkers season. It's been such a good season. Absolutely love the NFL. I do wake up every single Monday morning and watch NFL Red Zone without fail. Do not miss it. So I follow it really deeply. Love my NFL, but I'm so keen to see how the last sort of 5 weeks pans out, especially for my Panthers. We got a bye this week, as I said, 4 games to go. I'm really excited to see if we can beat the Buccaneers in this first one. I am going to start licking my lips and get pretty darn excited. All right, let's move on to the NBA. Little weekly update as we usually do, and my sort of weekly review. Looks like Boston have probably been the most formed team over the last sort of week. They have gone 2-1, but they have in the last 8 days beaten the Magic, the Pistons, and the Cavs in that period. So not sure who that loss was against, but that's 3 very good wins against 3 very good Eastern Conference teams. In regards to where they are sitting now, they have moved now to 11-9. I think they started their season 0-4 maybe. So they are hanging in there in a play-in spot. I'm not sure what the status of Jason Tatum is looking like for the rest of the year. He won't be back for regular season. He may be back for playoffs if they are in some sort of contention. I'm not quite sure, but we haven't had the most sort of movement in the world, I guess. Detroit's still looking good. They had a couple losses during the week. One of them was against Boston. They're still sitting top of the Eastern Conference, man, at 17-4, which is wild to see. The Knicks are on a 4-game win streak. They have moved out to 13-6 down to second in the conference. And the Miami Heat are looking bloody good, scoring a ton of points, scoring the most points. Let me confirm, in the Eastern Conference by far. 124 points a game, 7-3 in the last 10. And I spoke about more at the start of the season that the Eastern Conference wasn't probably looking that good, but I may be wrong there, because I reckon they're starting to become 6 pretty good teams down the East. You got the Pistons, the Knicks, the Heat, the Raptors, the Magic, and the Cavs now as well. And thing with the Cavs, they've just come off 4 losses in a row or something, but they won today against the Pacers, but they're just not playing the great ball at the moment. They sit down to 6th in the conference now. They were sitting near the top for most of the start of the season. They've gone 5-5 in the last 10, so not quite hitting their straps. I still think they will near the end of the regular season. Still think they're a pretty good juggernaut team. One of the worst teams of the week is Chicago, who have lost now 4 in a row, I think now. 3-7 in the last 10. They had some bad losses, man. They gave up a big lead to Orlando today. They've lost to the Pelicans, the Hornets, and the Pacers as well before that in a 3-game stretch in a week, which they are three pretty bleak teams in the Eastern Conference. That is not good. Sorry, Pelicans are in the West, but you know the Pacers are 4-17, the Hornets are 6-15. These are not good teams. The Bulls should not be losing to teams like that, especially with Josh Giddey there as well. Pelicans are 3-18. They should not be losing to a team that's coming last in the West. But moving over to the Western Conference, and no surprise to anyone, Oklahoma City Thunder are winning yet again. They've won 12 in a row now since that loss to Portland. Only 1 loss so far this season, sitting at 20-1. They are so far clear the best team in the league. It's not even funny. The Lakers are in a good bit of form at the moment. Did lose to Phoenix today, but before that they were like 8-1 in the last 9 games. They've moved up to second in the conference now. They're just loaded, right? LeBron's back. You've got Luka, Austin Reeves, Hachimura. It's all bloody happening there for the Lakers. Luka's looking good. He's moved into 375 now for MVP now. You got Jokic and SGA still there at 250 each. But Luka Doncic is easily the top points. He's 35 points a game. Second is SGA at 32.5, which is just absurd. Over 9 assists a game. He is an alien. An absolute freak. It's just insane what this guy can do. He is so bloody accurate. Swish, 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 swish. And it was me at the start of the season that I thought the Western Conference was looking pretty good with like 5, 6, 7 good teams maybe. I could be wrong there. I think it's just maybe 4 teams. Even Denver have lost 4 in a row now at home. Like, it's just super odd because they're 8-2 in the row, and now they're 6-4 at home. They're 6-0 at home. Now they've lost 4 in a row at home. 4th in the Western Conference now. They can turn it around. Like, Nikola Jokic is just a beast, but he can't do it all himself. Jamal Murray has to help him out. And it's just, yeah, like, Houston's looking really good, but then they lose to, like, the Jazz today. Like, what's going on, man? And the West is looking pretty bleak now. The West is looking weak. And, you know, it's just, you've got some, like, good teams, but not great teams, like Spurs, the Wolves. Still got the Warriors there, but, like, the Warriors aren't playing well. I don't really rate Phoenix too much. I don't rate the Grizzlies at all. I don't rate Portland at all. And then your bottom 5 teams, I don't rate the Jazz. I don't rate Dallas. I don't rate the Kings. The Clippers are just awful this year. They are so bad considering how good their starting 5 is. They've lost 5 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10 matches. They are a tire fire. Absolute dumpster fire. They have the 4th worst record in the league at the moment, 2nd last in the Western Conference. To the Pelicans, who are 1-9 in the last 10, having that win against Chicago, but they are still 3-18 for the season. Not looking good, but in terms of player performances, obviously we discussed that Luka is leading the league in points by over 2.5 points a game. You've got Jokic leading the rebounds. I think he had 20 rebounds or something. It's just, he's a freak. He's at least getting a double-double every game, if not a triple-double. He has 11 assists a game, which is more than 1.5 more than second, which is Cade Cunningham. Just an absolute beast. Points-wise, he'd be very close to 30 points a game. He's averaging close to He's averaging a triple-double every single game. So far, Nikola Jokic would be my MVP at the moment if Denver do turn things around, just because of how bloody good he is. I think SGA is a bit of a foul merchant for me. Not a big SGA guy, just can't really get around him for some reason. But let's move on to a bit of ice hockey, a little bit of ice hockey, hey, a bit of NHL. So, bit of news from your last week or so. We had Sidney Crosby, one of the legends of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who has been playing hockey for feels like fucking forever. He's moved into 15th all-time for goals in the league at 641. When you think about how many games this guy has played, that is just such an immense amount of goals. He's still way behind Alex Ovechkin. I think Alex Ovechkin's maybe at 908, maybe 910 now. He's got the record, continuously breaking the record every single goal he scores. We had Logan Cooley from the Utah Mammoth score 4 goals against Vegas last week and an assist. I think they won that game 5-1, so he had 5 points and has had some form of contribution to every goal that they scored. And then one of the highlights of the week, he suffered an ACL injury, and I'm not a big New York Islanders guy, but Kyle Palmieri has suffered an ACL injury, but he got smashed into a wall against, I think it was the Penguins, actually, or maybe the Flyers, and he got back up on his own feet, like no one helped him up, and he was skating off the ice on his own assist, and he steals the puck off a Flyers player, dishes it off to one of his players, and then they smash it in the net. One of the better assists I've ever seen. Was absolutely crazy. So, like, these hockey players are immensely tough. It's crazy how bloody tough they are. Just a hockey guy, man. They just don't care about these injuries. And, yeah, it's just immense what these guys go through. But the Avalanche, the Colorado Avalanche, keep on cooking, baby. They just keep on cooking. They are just $5 now to win the Stanley Cup. They are absolutely on fire. They are smashing teams. They did have a loss against the Wild during the week, but what's their record now? It is 18-1 and then 6 overtime losses. So they're absolutely blitzing the competition at the moment. They're on 42 points. The next is on 38. So they're 2 wins ahead. 9-0-1 in the last 10. They have lost 1 game in regulation, which is just crazy. Have not lost at home in regulation all season. You got the Dallas Stars lurking there as well, looking very, very good in the Central, just behind the Avalanche there. And Dallas I didn't really rate at the start of the year, but I mean, they've got a good goalie, they've got good players in the team, so probably hand up for me. I got that wrong. They are looking very good as well. Dallas are probably second best team, I'd say, this season. I've just looked at the Stanley Cup odds. Obviously, Avalanche are 5. The Florida Panthers are still at $9, tied for second favorite, and they are currently sitting tied for last in the Eastern Conference. 12, 11, and 1. They are not in good form at the moment, but the thing is with the Panthers at the moment, especially in the NHL, it's very, very tight, especially in the Atlantic Division. They are literally 2 wins off third in the Atlantic Division out of 8. So very, very tight, and they've got so many players still to come back, so many influential. Still their captain Barkov to come back in the new year. They desperately need him back. Sorry, Kachuk. And then the captain Barkov will be back potentially before the playoffs start if they make it. But Matthew Tkachuk will be a massive in for them into the new year. He was out after the Four Nations, big sort of injury. Not sure what that was actually, to be fair, but he is a big in for this team. They definitely do need him. What else is there to report in the NHL at the moment? The Anaheim Ducks still killing it, top of the Pacific Division. You absolutely love to see it. I'm going to run through the player sort of rankings that ESPN have got at the moment for the NHL once it loads up for me. All right, so obviously the Avalanche are number 1, as I said, at the moment. This is ESPN, by the way. They've got Dallas at 2. Sort of Carolina at 3. They got Anaheim Ducks at number 4, and they were number 3 last week as well. They are looking awesome at the moment. They're everyone's favorite at the start of the year to really have a good year, and they are playing some really good hockey at the moment. You just love to see it. It's so, so good. They've got, surprisingly for me, they've got the Islanders at number 10. They've just had 3 losses in a row. I think they're going to start to fade, but the number 1 pick, Matt Schaefer, is looking ridiculously good at the moment. He's just become the youngest player in NHL history to score an overtime goal in the regular season. But some surprising teams like the Kraken, they're looking good. I thought they would be a bit faltering. The Capitals are finally starting to kick along. Finally. They started so bloody slow to start the season. They have now, they won 4 in a row, 7-2-1 the last 10. Third now in the Metro Division, finally playing some good bloody hockey. And then you sort of go down, they've got Florida at 19 there, sort of right in the middle of the pack there. I do think they'll only get better from there. And then one of the surprising ones, the Edmonton Oilers at 25. So they've got them in the bottom, way in the bottom, like quarter of the power rankings, which is very surprising. Although they just got battered during the week, 8-3 at home by the Dallas Stars, which is just crazy. I remember the Avalanche won 9-1 there as well. So they've had some shocking home losses this year. Not looking good whatsoever, but if you haven't watched NHL, make sure you watch it. I recently discovered they show a game each Saturday on Channel 9, like free to air here in Australia. So make sure if you do get some time on Saturday, make sure you do watch that. But in terms of players, Nathan McKinnon from the Avalanche, he just keeps on cooking, man. He's looking so good. 44 points for the Avalanche at the moment. My favourite for sort of MVP at the moment is tied for the goals at the moment with 20. And then you still got Scott Wedgwood there, their goalie. He's still looking good. He's now 4th. He was 2nd last week, but now he's 4th for goals per game. He's still looking good. One of the best goalies going around at the moment. But as I said, the Avalanche are absolute cooking at the moment. Easily my favourite for the Stanley Cup, I'll say at the moment. And going by the odds, that's correct. Hard team to stop at the moment. But yeah, I will obviously continue my weekly sort of review of the NBA and NHL and also NFL as well. But in terms of this week's episode, that will do it for this week's episode podcast for the Skooshi Sports Report, your global sports rounder. As I said, bringing you your latest sporting news from around the week. Massive shout out again to Eilish Sheeran from the Kangaroos as well, my women's player of the week, getting best on ground Bog in the AFLW Grand Final. Massive shout out to her and congratulations to her. As I said, guys, make sure you give it a massive like and subscribe. Follow all my socials as well at Skooshi Sports. Remember to click onto yesterday's video to watch my NRL ladder prediction for next year as well. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for my Week 14 episode of the Red Zone Report. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and cheers.